Morning, Miriam.
How are you?
I'm great. I wanted to say the other day how wonderful your hair looked.
Oh, I love to start a session with that kind of comment. Thank you.
I was like, I'm not sure if this is appropriate right now, but Miriam, your hair is looking on fire. I was like, yeah, go you.
Great, thanks. I appreciate that. Making me feel all ticklish, you know? So welcome, Lee. We have been doing 2 sessions before you join us. So we did one with Coach Erica, and we focused mostly on vision, really interesting. She worked with one of her athletes, and then we did one with Dominic on career coaching. It was a little bumpy because we had some internet issues, but it went, we were able to share most of the messages that we wanted to share. So now we turning on to you for this next session. We have Michael here, who is one of the interns with Athlete Soul, who's going to be working with you during this session. So the way it's going to work is similar to the other session. I'm giving you time to introduce yourself, and then jump into a coaching session that you would do for 30 minutes. And then I'll come back on and we can do a debrief and talk more about your coaching style and program and how things work.
Cool, okay? Lovely.
So we're here for the next 15 minutes. Michael, are you able to put your video on? Or no, you're not. Hang on. Let me do this for you. Perfect. And you should be able now to unmute yourself as well.
Hello?
So I'm
Morning, Michael.
Hey, Michael.
Morning.
So don't be too intimidated, Michael. I'm sure it must be a little scary to do this live, especially if you don't know the coach. I want to really remind the audience that the 2 previous athletes have been actually working with their coach for at least a month and a half. So this version here is a little bit different. Michael, thank you for you being brave this morning and being willing to put yourself out there. I'm gonna step out and leave the 2 to you together, okay?
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Miriam. Let me just hide myself view here.
And okay. Also, Lee, can you give us a short intro and background before we get started, please?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everybody watching. I'm a previous national team coach for USA Cycling, and originally came from a background of state agency in the UK, so it's called real estate here. So I've come into this work in a slightly different way from some other people. I am an athlete myself and have been a multi-time national masters champion, so I understand sport from both ends, an athlete and a coach. And now I do emotional coaching, as we're going to demonstrate here with Michael this morning. So I work with coaches, athletes, executives, and companies. Michael, before we get started, can I just echo what Miriam said? Can I appreciate you? It's a pretty brave thing to come on here and say, hey, let's talk about my stuff in front of a bunch of people. So I'm just going to set some containers around that. So usually we would have a discussion where I would say, everything you discuss with me is completely personal and I will never share that with anybody else. Obviously, we're in a different situation here, so I want to highlight that. So at any point you feel uncomfortable, there's anything you don't want to explore, you want to stop, just tell me and we'll go down another avenue. So you control what is shared in this conversation. I'll also encourage you to just be you and share what feels right for you. So I really appreciate you and your bravery for doing this. Is there anything that you need before we start, Michael?
No, I think I'm good to go.
Okay. Do you want to do any debriefs or anything like that, or you're ready to crack on?
I'm ready to crack on. Yeah, ready to go.
Okay, let's do it. So, and just one quick thing, Michael, I might stop us very occasionally just to point something out to the audience. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, not a problem.
Lovely. Great. Thank you. So how can I help you today? How can I be of service?
Yeah, so I'm kind of in a very tricky position, I guess you could say. So just a little debrief of who I am. My name is Michael Slimy. Yep. I'm a 5th-year student athlete at Stony Brook University. I'm on the football team. I'm a wide receiver. Along with being a student athlete, I'm an intern for Athlete Soul. This is my 3rd month. I started in August with them. I'm an employee at St. George's Golf and Country Club. But the issue that I'm kind of having is I'm currently dealing with an injury that there's a chance that I played my last snap of football. I'm dealing with a herniated disc right now. I've been dealing with it since May. I'm in absolutely no pain, so it's kind of hard. Like, I've watched practice every day since August. I've been there with the guys, training, meetings, everything. But it's hard to like keep on going. But like, since I'm in no pain, like I know I can be competing. I know I should be like out there on the field. But it's like it's hard to like keep on going and keep pushing when I know that like there's a chance that I have played my last snap. So one of like the questions I have is like how would I continue to keep pushing when it's like I know there's a chance I've like finished my career, even though like so I still have 2 years of eligibility left. So I do plan. I'm on track to graduate this upcoming winter, and then I do plan on applying for grad school to get my MBA in business, so that I do have 2 years to do my grad school program with playing football. But I do know that like there's a chance I play my last snap like once, because if I do have to have surgery, depending on how the recovery process goes, I know that's gonna be tricky. Like the recovery process is gonna be like a bunch of months. I won't be able to like bend down, lift, twist, all that stuff. So it's very tricky to like keep on pushing and keep going, to like keep have the same love for the sport when there's a chance that like it's already gone. So just I don't know, like if you can give an insight of like what I should kind of be doing next to like keep the passion and keep the love for it, even though like there's a chance like it's already in the past for me.
Yeah. Wow. Appreciate that. Difficult dilemma. If I may just share a bit of myself, I've been through a very similar journey. I've had a lot of back pain. You might see me lying back almost in this chair here because I've had lower back issues too. And it got to the point with me, I had to take months off of sport completely to let all of that calm down to then be able to rebuild and come back. So I really feel you, and I appreciate the journey you're going through, Michael. I want to turn it back to you. What do you think you need to do?
Well, so before my herniated disc, I've kind of been injured for. I actually first broke my foot when COVID hit, and so then I healed perfectly, and then it broke again. So I've kind of been injured for like a year and a half or two. So the past year and a half, like ever since COVID hit, it's been like as if time like kind of slowed down, but it also like sped up at the same time. Like each individual day is slow, but when I look back, it's like August feels like this. Like it feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
But like I have no issue being injured. Like I'm there with the guys. Like I love my teammates and everything. But like there's just days where I'm just like I could be somewhere else. I could be starting my like professional career somewhere. Like I know I still want to do grad school, and it's definitely like in my plan and in my journey like throughout life. But it's like, should I be here right now? Like should I be at football? Like do I want like I love my teammates and everything, but it's like standing around for 4 hours like watching practice every day. It's just like mentally like straining. But like I think I've been doing a great job kind of handling everything. Like talking to like my girlfriend, my parents, my friends, my like not so much as my coaches, because I know they have a lot of them play like with game planning for the game and everything. But like I know like I can go to them if I need to, but it's just hard like every single day like knowing that I should be out there, I should be competing, I should be doing this, that like I can't really work out to my full extent because of the injury that I'm dealing with. So it's like
Michael, I'm going to stop you there 1 second. There's a theme I'm picking up on here that I'm hearing you say a lot. I should be. What does that mean?
So I know that with my injury, if I wasn't injured right now, I would be out there, would be playing, practicing, participating, competing every single day. Like some of my coaches asked like how I'm doing. I'm like, I hate watching every day because I'm a competitor. Like as an athlete, like even though I stopped playing football, like I can't play football right now because I just can't run. Like I have no other issue other than I just can't run right now. So like I picked up
important issue for a wide receiver though.
Yeah, huge issue. But that's kind of the only injury or the only deficit I have is just like is the running. Like mentally, like I know all the plays I have to do. Like I'm locked in at practice all the time. Like I'm aware of everything that's going on, like offense, defense, special teams, and everything. But it's like it's hard just watching every day, knowing that like I can compete, you know, because I didn't get to like the Division I level without like being a competitor throughout. Like because I played hockey for 13 years, I played baseball for about 11 years or so. So it's like the athlete in me, like I know I'll always be there. Like I started playing golf again because I'm in no pain, but I can't run. Not again. I just started playing. But yeah, I don't. It's just like a very tricky spot being in as a 22-year-old because it's like, where do I kind of like go to next? You know?
Yeah, yeah. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's just think about where you are right now.
Yeah.
When you're at these practices and you're watching,
Mhm.
I'm hearing two things. I want to reflect you. I'm hearing that part of you is thinking this is a waste of my time. Could be doing the next thing right now. And then another part of you is saying, but I really like being with the team. I like being with the boys. I like that feeling of being part of this. And there's a third thing that's going on. What's that third thing that's going on? I'm curious if you see it.
Uh,
What takes you there and keeps you doing this?
the love for the sport.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
what's there's something behind that. What are you very good at doing, Michael?
competing. Or
I'm gonna reframe it slightly and
yeah.
see how this fits for you. We usually would take a bit longer. So for the audience, usually we take a bit longer to get to this point. But in the interest of time here, we've only got 30 minutes. I'm going to get 30 minutes to work with you. I'm just going to speed this process up slightly.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to reflect to you is you seem to me to be incredibly gritty. So, you know, determination, grit, perseverance, that seems like a bit of a superpower for you. How does that hit?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. What's the downside of being very gritty?
I guess like I'm overly too focused sometimes, and like I kind of there might be too much passion, and it's like it won't allow me to kind of see the next step in life because I'm so focused on the moment. I'm so focused on the current situation that I'm in that like I do think about the future. Like I do know, like I have been planning out the steps that I know I want to take or possibilities of kind of plans that I want to take or career paths. But I feel like in the position I am, I need to focus on like the present right now to kind of, I guess, not map out where I want to go, but kind of focus a lot more on the present so that I can get to where I need to get to in the future. Because I know that like if I don't put the time, the energy, and the passion into the things I need to do, like now, that I may not get to where I need to get to in the future. But
yeah. So where is that you need to get to in the future? That's an interesting choice of words, need. We'll come back to that in a second.
I don't know. I guess I haven't thought about it like that, but just more of the not, I guess, like being able to do anything that I would love to do physically or athletically.
Okay.
Like being injured, it's kind of prohibiting my athletic ability. And it's kind of restricting it in some ways. Like I can't run.
Yeah.
That's one of the only things I love to do. It's like a big stress reliever for me, like going on runs, going on like hikes, jogs, anything. So not being able to do that since May of when my injury started has definitely been frustrating for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very tricky.
Can you just sit in that frustration a little bit with me? What does that feel like?
It's like I have control of certain things, but it's also I don't have control of a lot of things. It's it's a good question. I don't know. Like I know that it's just I don't know. That's a good question.
So I'm going to stop you here for 1 second, Michael.
Yeah.
Just take a second.
Mhm.
Just take a couple of deep breaths. And instead of trying to think about what's going on, which I can see you doing, you're very articulate and you're doing good work here. So I want to make sure that I appreciate what you're going through here. I'd like you to kind of sink in and go, what am I actually feeling? What's that telling me?
I wouldn't say that like pissed off or mad at the current situation that I'm in, because I know that it's life. I wouldn't be in the position I am if life didn't deal me with these injuries.
So just stop there a second.
Yeah.
I'm gonna slow this all down a little bit because you're really trying to think your way through it. So I'm gonna slow it down a second.
Okay.
You wouldn't say you're pissed off. Okay. So why don't you tell me what you are? And why shouldn't you be pissed off? I'd be really fucking annoyed if I do get really annoyed when I can't do sport. I've had
Yeah.
2 shoulder operations in the last year. They've really held me back. And I get really angry.
Mhm.
Why shouldn't you be angry?
I think I have every right to be angry.
Yeah.
But it's not that I'm angry. I wouldn't be angry at myself. It's just more angry about like, not like necessarily toward the world or like toward like anyone specifically, but it's like there's just like an anger for not being not anger, but it's like I guess like I'm just like I would say I'm annoyed because I'm not able to compete. Like I'm not able to be out there every single day to like show off or to show off like my athletic ability. Like I know I can
Yeah.
be. I know that I'm a Division I athlete. I know that I can compete. Like I wouldn't be in the position I am in if I didn't compete in high school and middle school when I was growing up as a kid. So I guess that not being able to compete every day in a sport that I do love is annoying and it's frustrating. But I do like there's some things that I do to personally like kind of deal with it or cope with it is like I'll read, like I'll play Xbox, like I'll golf, I'll spend times with family and friends. Like today, like I drove home, like home. It's 40 minutes from me from like college to home. Because I haven't been home since August. Like with the schedule, like I've been out there every day. Like even though I haven't played like a snap, like I haven't played in practice snap. Like I just love being out there. Like, cause I know like my family's not going anywhere. You know, like my parents, my brother, like I have a cat at home. Like I haven't seen like my parents come out to the home games, but like even my mom's saying like I need time to spend with you. Like I haven't had like even like my parents, like I haven't talked to them for more than like an hour or so about like my current condition, like where I am, because like we have to like possibly schedule surgery and everything in grad school and where I'm gonna be living. So it's like there's a lot of moving parts that are kind of just like floating in the air because it's just like the position I'm in. It's like the current circumstances that life threw to me, and it's just that like. But I think I've been doing a lot of planning to figure out kind of where I want to be. Like, do I want to do grad school at Stony Brook? Do I want to put my name in the transfer portal and go somewhere else to do grad school? Or like where I'll be living next year? Do I want to live in like this same place where I'm at? We're moving with my teammates if like someone moves out, or like it's hard that everything is kind of it kind of feels like I'm juggling like 12 balls right now, like 12 like anything. But it's like I just don't know which one will kind of be the first one to start the chain link of reaction that kind of gets everything going and like the right process that I need to go to. But I do know that like once I have grad school figured out, like in the next few weeks, like with my advisor, with like if I have to get surgery, once I have that figured out, because once I kind of set in formation, I guess those two things, I know that it'll be easier for me because I'll have like that set, because like grad school will be 2 years. So it's like, okay, I'll be here for 2 years. I'll get my MBA. Then I guess throughout the process of getting my MBA, I'll have a better idea of what specific field of business I would like to go down to. Cause that's one of the other things like I don't.
So let me slow you down again. There's a huge amount of content there. Stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm more interested in the context. So this is what's behind it. This is what's driving you behind all this stuff. So what I'm getting is you are a doer. You do a lot. You're gritty. When you get to that place where there's some emotions, I'm hearing your coping strategy is to do. Yeah. It's like, right, I'm going to do. So do you mind if I do a quick bit of teaching?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So when I talk about emotions with people, I like to use 4 main emotions. So it's joy, fear, anger, and sadness. So the way I look at emotions they are tools and they're data to help us understand our experience in the world. And as men especially, women too, but men especially, we're told not to have emotions. Like it's a bad thing to have emotions for men. Don't be a pussy. Don't be weak. Don't be scared. You know, like you can be a little bit angry, but only at the right times, like in a sporting context. And, you know, don't even be too happy. Like there's some level of happiness, but not too much. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I kind of challenge you. I heard you talk about annoyance and frustration, but when I labeled that as anger for you, that was quite hard for you to sit with. And then immediately there's this whole big story of like, it's okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, Lynn, I'm going to do this.
Hmm.
And we're kind of avoiding that anger that is there, I'm judging, and rightly so. It's frustrating to not be able to do the things we want to do. What I'm hearing is you've worked so hard to get to this place, and then you can't do the thing that you believe you're kind of destined to do. So I have a couple of questions based off of this. The first one is, what makes you happy? Like, what brings you joy?
Definitely being with my family and my friends. Being
Okay.
around people who want to be around me. Because I know there's a lot of people who like may not want to spend their time with me. That's okay. Definitely family, friends. I would say doing anything athletic, because I know that being an athlete is one of my strengths, and I do love to capitalize on that. Whether that be like any sports or like I said, like I like playing Xbox. I like the competitive nature. Like I'd rather be playing with other people, like than like be alone. Like
Yeah.
although like I will definitely do say that I'm alone a lot. I do love being alone because I do feel that I get a lot done. Like I get a lot of planning done. And I know that that's what makes me.
So focus on what makes you happy.
I guess I haven't been like too detailed on what brings me joy, because like in the current situation I am, like although there's a lot of like anger, like annoyance, like frustration, like would say that like I am happy though at the same time, because like I love the position I'm in. Like if things were easy for me, like I wouldn't, like it'd be too easy. Like there's always like problems going on that like okay, like if there's an injury.
So stop there a second.
Yeah.
So let me just reflect that.
Mm-hmm.
Things have to be difficult for you. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, like I guess if life was like, if I was given everything in life, like I feel like it would just be easy. Like
So you have to suffer for it to be worthwhile.
not necessarily suffer, but I like being kind of I like being tested. Like I like kind of putting myself to get better in some way, shape, or form than like things be kind of like too easy for me. But that I don't know if that makes any sense at all. But
yeah, I get it. You like to be challenged, and that's okay because you're a doer. So like, hey, let's meet this challenge head on. Again, I ask you, what's the negative of that way of living?
Very stressed out. Emotionally. But I would say, yeah, I would say I wouldn't say like I'm overly stressed out. But I do think that like if I wasn't kind of injured right now, that I think that I wouldn't be like, I think I do know that like if I was playing, like if I was practicing every single day, like I wasn't injured at all, that I wouldn't be working on the side, because all my time and my effort would have to go to being like on the field, and like my recovery would be so much more important, because like all the strenuous, like every single impact on the body that like playing a sport does, like all the working out, like all the everyday contact, I know that I would have to take more time to recover. So I guess that's like one of the things that like if I have too much time on my hands, like if I have nothing to do for the rest of the day, like I just don't know what to do with my day. So it's like, that's why like being an intern has been amazing. Like all the work I've done has been absolutely amazing. Like being an employee, it takes my time away from kind of sitting around and doing nothing to doing something, because I can't just sit around in bed all day and kind of hope that my life gets better, because I know things just don't work out like that. You know, I have to do something to kind of pass the time until like, okay, like, cause I know like injuries don't last forever. So doing something is a lot easier for me. And I guess you could say that like I'm pushing everything kind of to the side, like whether that be like dealing with my emotions or dealing with like other problems, like doing something like in the moment to kind of pass that and push it off a little bit, I'm okay with, because I know like there will be a time where I figure everything out. Like it's going to all fall into place eventually. It's just like in the moment, every single day, it's like hard, like pushing without like a set, not a set goal, but like toward a destination, like a final destination.
Yeah. So I'm going to slow you down a bit about this. Yeah. So what I'm hearing, so I'm going to reflect this to you, tell me how this sits. What I'm hearing is, for you, it's better if there's a lot of things for you to do rather than sit and kind of be with the emotions, to be with what's going on.
Yeah.
However, there's a gift from sitting and being with things, because then you start to get to choose what you want to do. Because what I'm hearing is you kind of fill life up with things to do. And just I want to go back to that word need. I want to know what you want to do. So we've got 6 minutes left. What do you want to get out of this conversation in the next 6 minutes? What would be a win for you in this conversation in the next 6 minutes?
I guess, like, as of everything that you've heard me say so far, what would you say would be one of the most, I guess, impactful things that you think I should do in my current situation to kind of not necessarily make things easier, but make things smoother for the process for me, like going forward? And like, what do you think I should be kind of looking at, or like not studying, but kind of like going into to like deal or help with the kind of the situation I'm in? Yeah.
So let me give you a reflection first.
Yep.
Because I can't tell you what's right for your life. You get to make those decisions.
Yeah.
What I'll reflect is life is kind of happening to you at the moment. So you get injured, then you get like, right, okay, to deal with that, I get busy. I want to know what life's like when you start making more of the choices, when you're like not waiting to find out whether you're going to have an operation or not, when you're like, okay, I get to choose whether I go to practice. I get to choose whether this is something I still want to keep doing, or I get to choose whether I'm like ready to take the next step in my evolution. And what it sounds like that is going to school to do an MBA in business. So I'm hearing you, and you're making the same request of me, so that's ironic that you want the world to tell you what to do. I'm more interested in what Michael wants to do. Like, what does your life look like? If we take all of this stuff away, right? You're completely healthy. You get to be able to choose whatever you want to do. What choice would you make today about what the next stage of your life looks like?
So I'd like to backtrack 1 second. So I'm actually a non-scholarship wide receiver on the football team. So like I have no requirement to be there at all. Like if I wanted to stop playing like today, like there's no questions asked, you know? But if I was completely healthy and I kind of weren't dealing with the issues that I am dealing with, I still do 100% feel that I would continue playing football until my career is over. Because I know that football lasts once. I know that after that, like I would definitely, like, I subconsciously told myself like I miss playing hockey walking into my football meeting. And it was weird because like I've never, like, I told my girlfriend this, I was like, that's never happened before, you know, like ever, like in my entire life, like subconsciously it just like came out. So definitely continue to play football, or at least competing in some ways, whether that be like run an Ironman, run a marathon, get into different things like CrossFit, golf, anything, while doing my MBA. And then just so that, or like even like working.
So is it football, or is it you just like being competitive?
I do love playing football, but I do love being a competitor also. And I do know that like once football is over, whether that be like after college, or like if I go pro, or if I go like Canadian football, any of the leagues, I know after that, I will say that I probably will most, like, if it's out of 100%, there's a 98% chance that I'm going to do something athletic after that, like, and continue my training, just because it's who I am. It's kind of like who I was built to. Like I played 3 sports growing up. Like my parents didn't want me to just play one sport, because they wanted me to be well-rounded in other sports, because it's probably easier for me. Just so I'm not focused on one sport entirely my whole life. And then once that's over, it's like, what do I do now? You know? So I'm definitely blessed that my parents gave me that choice to do all that. But
yeah.
And then for the professional career after I get my MBA, I'm not entirely sure which field I want to go into for business yet, but I do know I want to go into business. But I do feel that with the MBA program, that I will have a better sense and idea of which field I love and appreciate more. So like I have been thinking about that vaguely, but I do know that that's going to come with learning more about our society, learning more about the business world, about like certain specializations. So I do feel like I can wait to think about that, like in grad school, or like at least once I am fully accepted into grad school, wherever that may be. But then once the professional career comes, and I'm just gonna have to play that kind of when I get there.
So I'm just going to stop you there again, Michael. I'm curious here. Let me think about how I want to word this carefully. If you had the choice between going to NBA right now or continue playing sport right now, which direction would you go in? Which one would bring you more joy?
Wait, the NBA or the NFL?
The NBA or continuing playing sport, whatever sport that might be. Like, which one do you think bring you more joy?
I think definitely playing the sport, like not going to the NBA, and playing a sport that I am passionate about, that I love, and that I have been around. So it's kind of, it's like instilled into me. It's kind of like who I am. But yeah, I would definitely say a sport, or doing like, whether that be like baseball, football, hockey, golf, like just weight training every single day and like running. But
so again, it's interesting. I'm just going to reflect to you because we're finishing now. So I'm going to reflect to you. I don't hear you saying, I need to be a professional footballer and football's my life. What I hear you saying is, I need sport in my life. And you mix that with professional career and be just as happy. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. So I'm curious about what taking the choice about the next part of your life is going to look like. I'm curious for you, you don't need to answer this right now, but I'm curious for you what it's like to just kind of sit and think about what I want to do next, why I want to do an MBA. Is the MBA the right thing for me? And what does the next part of my life look like now that I've established, and this is what I'm hearing you saying, so it's going to reflect how it sits for you, that I've established that for me, sport is something I really like doing. And it doesn't matter so much what the sport is, as long as I'm doing sport and I'm being active and I have an outlet for my competitive urge. I'm not hearing you saying that you want to make sport your profession. Like you mentioned it a couple of times, but then you actually finish it off by saying, actually, as long as I've got sport in my life, I'm okay. So I'm curious as to like what that next part of your professional life will look like. And, you know, I want to offer as well, and you already said it, so I just want to reflect it. You don't need to decide what you're going to do. I've had 3 careers. It's taken me 48 years to get to the one that I think is actually the most fitting for me. So there's no hurry. And every career I've had has been financially lucrative. So I've done okay. And this emotional coaching is the one where I've gone, yeah, this is it. This is a culmination of all the skills, and life has led me to this point. How does all of that sit with you?
Yeah, so it's definitely tricky for me kind of right now with the injury I have, because there's a chance that even with surgery and with recovery that I may not be able to do, like I may not be able to run again. Like, so like that's been a thought. So it's like I would love to play professionally. It's always been a dream of mine, whatever sport that may be. But I do know that the recovery process I have is a lot different than an injury I've ever dealt with before. Like I had a herniated disc my freshman year, but it wasn't kind of, the disc wasn't squeezed as much. So it's not like the herniation is in my spinal canal right now. That's why it's like a bigger issue. But
yeah,
I guess that because I'm injured right
now.
Are
you okay? I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Very blunt question. Are you okay with letting go of that dream and moving on to the next part of your life?
Yeah, I am. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. So I just want to reflect that to you.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that you've already made that decision. It's now almost bringing that out into the open and going, yeah, I'm okay and I'm comfortable with this, which is why I think you keep talking about, I don't care what sport I do as long as it's some sport.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of been like, ever since my injury in May, it's been like a thought that like, okay, like if I can't play football again, what am I going to do? You know, like whether that be like start working or find another sport that I can compete in, because there's a chance that I won't be able to play hockey if my recovery is remote, because it's just as rough and physical as football is.
Similar movement, yeah.
If anything, probably a little more physical. So, yeah, I would say that if I can compete, and I know that I will do everything in my recovery process to be the same athlete I was, but I know that I won't ever be the same athlete as I was. There are always going to be little differences and little kind of imbalances I'm going to have to deal with. But if my recovery process goes the way that I expect it to go, which is phenomenal, I will continue to play football, or I will do everything I can to make a return to play. But if I can't physically, then I'm okay with that, because it means that like I tried everything I can to make a return to play. But if I can't, then I have to be ready for the next step in my life, then not know where I want to do or not have any clue as I want to do. Because like, let's say that like I have the surgery like tomorrow, right? The recovery is like 3 or 4 months, but then like at the 4-month mark, if I'm able to make a full recovery, I will continue playing football. It's the love I have for it. But if like 4 months from now, if I can't compete or I can't like play at all, and I don't know what I want to do, then it's like I'll have to start thinking then. Like I'll have to kind of, everything which can be pushed back. So me thinking now and kind of getting way ahead of the condition or the position that I am in has been great for me, because if football is going to end for me at some point, regardless, it's a career. I've accepted that already, but it's the passion, the love that I have for the sport individually, that I have to do everything I can to make a return to play, just for my own sake, because I know that if I don't try, at least I'm going to regret it later. And it's going to be like, I know it's going to sit with me, and it's like, I should have done this, like I could have done this. But it's because also like with COVID and with redshirting my freshman year, I still have 2 years of eligibility left. So if I didn't have those 2 years, I would be, it's like, okay, on to grad school, I'll start working, I'll find other things to do with my time. But it's that since I still have 2 years, and then with recovery, it's tricky trying to plan out something that I don't know where my body will be at then. Like my body could be in the best shape I've ever been in, or it could be kind of where I am now, still at a deficit. So it's definitely very tricky trying to plan for something that like I don't know where I'll be then. But definitely getting ahead of it and like talking to like my parents, and like my girlfriend's been great. Like she understands like the situation I'm in, because like I always talk about like when I'm recovered, like I'll like all the things I'm gonna do like athletically, like whether that be football, any other sport. And my parents know that too. Like I've talked to them about like continue playing, and then but if I can't compete, like I'll take it from there and kind of find a new love and passion for something else. Or kind of bring back a passion I had. But
I'm gonna need to stop there because I'm cognizant of time. Miriam wanted us to have some questions and answers at the end here, so I'm just going to leave you with one last thing. I'd really like to offer to you to sit with, what would it be like not to have everything figured out? What would it be like just to have a bit of space and see what comes up and see what you're really drawn to?
I have no issue with that. I'm totally okay with waiting and seeing what comes or what gets thrown my way, and then I
don't mean so much as a conceptual thing. I mean more as an emotional thing. What would it be like just to sit in the discomfort right now and see what comes up for you? you kind of immediately answer it. It's like, I've got to figure it out because you're trying to figure it out. When I'm saying to you, I want to offer to you to not have it figured out for a moment, just to see and sit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop you there. Don't answer it.
Okay.
I'm going to stop you there. I want you to just think about that one.
All right.
Just feel that one. Miriam, do you want to jump back in?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Michael. Really appreciate you.
No problem. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it as well.
Yeah, thank you, Michael, because this is really not an easy task. First of all, to just do it in general, but really with other people watching and listening and being very candid. So it's great. Thank you so much. Lee, you've done an exceptional job at rephrasing, and I have several follow-up questions. But before we do that, do you want to give us a little bit of a debrief of what you've done, perhaps?
Yeah, so, from my side of the chair, my job is to support Michael in understanding what's going on for himself. So my job is to question things, to see if I can note things and highlight them and reflect them to him and see if that sits for him and see if he's feeling that. Sometimes to reframe them so that you give them, the person that you're working with, an opportunity to see something from somebody else's eyes. It can be hard because my stuff's in this as well. So I'm trying to be very cognizant of not wanting to fix Michael. I've had years of back pain. So I could be like, right, go and see Professor McGill over in the University of Waterloo. He was the guy that sorted me out. And I might message Michael some details of that later. But right now in this space, I'm more interested in what's going on emotionally for Michael. And so now I'm just going to do a little bit of reflection to the audience, Michael, what I see is going on here for you. And usually we would take a few sessions to get here because there's a lot to unpack. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to reflect, like, you're an incredibly driven individual. And your way of coping in life is to be very driven. So it's like, right, I'm going to do. And one of the issues with being like that is a great skill to have when you know when to turn it off. And one of the issues is it keeps you doing things that don't necessarily serve you any longer. And that's why I was picking up words like, I need to do this rather than I want to do this. And when you were talking about professional football, it was almost like you were trying to convince me that you should be playing professional football rather than you were rather than something I felt that you really wanted to do for you. It was like, well, I've done this and I put the time in, so I should probably still keep doing this. Instead of like, fuck, professional football is what I want to do. It's my life. It's the only thing I've ever wanted to do. I hear so many more possibilities for you than just professional football. So on this side, I'm excited because I'm like, here's a smart guy. He's got all of these opportunities. What would it be to let go of this one that his body seems to be fighting him on? And then what would it be like to be excited about the next thing? So that's what we would have done over a few sessions to get there. And it lands better if you can get to that realization than me telling you like I am now.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question, Miriam?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel, compared to the other coaching session that we had before, that perhaps your point of entry is these emotions and feeling, and taking the time to sit with them to connect more with your personal vision or your personal goal. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it can be very easy on this side of the chair to just give everybody the answers. And that's what we see a variety of coaches doing. And they're like, right, you just need to do this, this, and this. But then it's not the answers because it's my answers. I don't want to give Michael my answers. I want Michael to come to his own answers. So my job is to help him really discover what he wants, find the things that are getting in the way of what he wants, and then allow him to get to where he wants. And it's not fair for me to project my vision onto that because they're not my choices, they're Michael's choices. I can give some reflections and Michael might go, oh, I don't want to do that. That sounds horrible. And then that's helpful because then we're like, okay, now we're getting to know what Michael wants. My judgment in the moment is Michael's so used to doing, and this is why I wanted to keep concentrating on the emotional part. He's so used to doing and being a productive human being that there isn't the moment to really stop and reflect. And when I asked him what brought him joy, the first thing he said, family, connection, and friends. I didn't hear you say playing football. I didn't hear you say playing sport. I heard you say family, connection, and friends. And you shared with us earlier that you haven't spent a lot of time doing that. So that would be one of the things I would reflect to you is, again, like, what would it be like to make more space to spend time with your family, with your friends, and do those things that really charge your batteries instead of just do. And there's no judgment from me on this, because this is me. I left a job in the national team role. It all fell apart. What do? I create 2 businesses within a month, instead of sitting with it for a moment and going, okay, that was really stressful. And therefore it took me nearly a year to get over the emotional hangover of that position collapsing, because I didn't give myself the time to do it. So I can still get this wrong on this side of the chair.
Lee, you have incredible listening skills, because you've picked up on a lot of details and words of things that Michael has said. How do you train that? How did you build?
I have no idea. I've always been able to do it, Miriam. I mean, I don't know. That's kind of my gift. That's part of why I do this work, is I can see people. So I can see not only what they're saying, but something behind that. Like, so as you notice when I talk to Michael about the content, like he's sharing so much with me. I want to know what's going on behind the content, what's driving him behind the content. So that's my job, is to listen to the content and then try to get to what's behind the content. I think being very aware of, I am here to be curious, I'm not here to fix Michael, is a good starting point. So my job is to be as curious as possible about Michael as a human being, and the rest of it will come from there. Whereas if I have an agenda of like, we didn't really get a resolvement in that. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, and that's okay. And, often coaches want to get the resolvement. It's like, that person has to take this, like this massive bit of wisdom from me and walk away completely okay. And that, again, that doesn't really serve the client if I come into it from that attitude, because I'm going to be charged to have to fix somebody in 30 minutes. And there's nothing to fix. Michael's a lovely lad. It's not like I need to make him something. It's just whether there might be a different way for Michael to be that might be, I don't want to use the word healthier, but, just more whole for him rather than how he's being right now and stuck in this doing.
Yeah. You're a sounding
and
board.
I really appreciate you, Michael, by the way, just letting me share all of this, because I'm talking a lot about you here. So I really appreciate you letting me do that.
Well, and actually, Michael, can you can you share with us how it felt, all these questions and this process? How is it? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, so this was definitely one of the first times where I kind of talked about my current situation with someone that I've never really met Lee before. Like, I heard him talk in the past 2 days, but I've never sat and talked with him before. And so it was definitely interesting hearing someone else's point of view with all the experience you have, and all the feedback that you gave me was absolutely amazing. It's definitely tricky still for me, with everything you said, for me to find not my next passion, but I think I will definitely be not pushing stuff away, but will be taking more time to kind of let things come to me and see what thoughts come to me about, okay, if this doesn't work out, what's next, or not what's next, but I don't know. I just have always the need or the want also to do something, sitting around and kind of waiting for stuff. It's not who I was growing up. I was always out doing stuff. I was rarely home. I was always out training with friends, just kind of evolving as a young man and getting to the position I am today. Yeah,
which is great, Michael, which is great, because it allows you to be such an achiever. You just need to give yourself space occasionally to really figure out what you want. And that takes space, because if you're so busy doing, you can't have emotional capacity to go, what actually feels right to me, rather than, okay, this just seems like the next thing to do. And you see this with people when they get to middle age and they're like, what the fuck was all that about? I've just spent 30 years doing, why did I do it? What actually brought me happiness? There's one little thing I'm going to leave with you. It's a concept called the whole body yes. And I'd like you to start practicing this. So whenever you get an opportunity or whenever you're thinking about doing something, you have three options. You have a no, like, I don't want to do that. That feels like a strong no to me. You have a maybe, not sure. And then you have a, yeah, that's a yes. I really want to do that. I want you to start checking in before you decide to do things, or when you're thinking of doing things. Is this a whole body yes? Is it a no? Is it a maybe? If it's a no and a maybe, I want you to let go of it. And I want you to lean into things that the whole body yeses. And that will really, if you start doing that process, it really helps guide you as to what you really want to do rather than what you think you need to do or should do. And that comes back to the grit thing. Like, you're able to persevere. So you're able to do a lot of maybes because you're taught yourself that that's a good thing. Like, being able to do a maybe is a good thing because it shows how strong you are. Yet it gets in the way of you actually making the choices that really serve you. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does, for sure. And I will definitely be adding that into my reality going forward.
Cool. Thank you.
Well, and I think that's a good advice for anybody, not just you, Michael, just to make sure you're very intentional about what you do. I really like that, Lee. Thank you. Lee, before we close off, do you have any, can you tell us first where we can find you, your website, perhaps, for your practice as a coach?
Yeah, so www.mypcoaching.org. We'll find me, we'll find the website, and on all social medias, it's Maximize Your Potential Coaching.
Super. And lastly, who do you typically work with in terms of client?
So I think my favorite population is two types I'm discovering. So one is sports coaches. I really like working with sports coaches because I think they have, you know, I'm sure Michael will feel this, but they have a massive effect on young people's lives. So you've got parents, you've got school teachers and sports coaches. You can have a great sports coach that affects the rest of your life and gives you some wonderful advice that goes way beyond sport about how you are as a human being. And then you have some that really damage you and bully you. So I want to be part of helping coaches be greater and having a bigger impact. And I really like working with executives and startups. So leadership training, and really leadership, all of us are leaders in some way in our lives. But I really like working with people on how they show up with other people, being aware of how other people receive them and their impact on other people, and then how we can connect better with other people. And then lastly, I run men's groups. And I do that because, as we said in the conversation with Michael, men get so badly trained on how to be a man when we're young, because, you know, our examples of men in media are immature men. They're boyhood heroes rather than adult men. So we get all this bad training on how to be a man, and we have to unlearn it. And I did a men's group last night, and we spent, 30 minutes just talking about unlearning the stuff we learned from our parents about being fathers. Like, how do we want to be fathers? How do we want to be partners, rather than just what did we learn that isn't serving us?
I absolutely love that. I think that's exceptional that you're doing that. Really love it, Lee. And I love everything that you do. So that's fantastic. Listen, thanks for the time, both of you. Michael, not only a big shout out for what you did today, but for the work you've done for the last 2 months, preparing the event, putting everything together, connecting with all our panelists. I think you've done an exceptional work. Can't wait to see what we do next and how you help athletes over the next few months. So thank you to you. And everybody, thanks for joining us for this morning session. That was the first time we actually did this live coaching session. I hope these were useful. And I hope that you enjoyed the last 2 days as well in our panel discussion. So thank you so much. We'll be sharing the recording of everything with you, as well as on the website. And then we'll be sending out a survey as well for everybody. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Michael. And
thank you, Michael. Appreciate your bravery, mate.
I appreciate it, Lee. Thank you.
Have a good weekend, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.